So Zandar is the third sibling of the Zartan family. Some people say he's a twin of Zarana. I don't like that version of him being a twin of Zarana. I think we have enough twins with the Crimson Twins, Tomax and Zaymot. I think they work better as siblings. What I like about him when I was a kid was that Zartan had both the camouflage and the acting and cover up and disguise skills. Zarana had the disguise skills. She could act and replicate any women. Zandar had the camouflage abilities, which means Zartan had both skills. Zandar was the expert in camouflage, and Zarana was the expert in disguise, acting, and faking someone else's identity. In some of the G.I. Joe comic, they've portrayed Zandar as being able to also disguise himself as someone else and play role. I don't think that sits well with him. I prefer the camouflage. This is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, filling you in since 2002. Like and subscribe, and let's look at this Dreadnought in more detail. The thing with Zandar is that he comes with silent weapons. So this thing here, this arrow thing, shoot arrows, which he has a lot on his backpack. And those are silent weapons. So it's part of the whole camouflage thing that he's using, that people don't know where he is, that he could be in a room and people would just ignore that he's in that room and act as if he wasn't there and so on. I really like that about Zandar. His opposite on the G.I. Joe team would be Lowlight, the Night Spotter, who could sometimes spot him, sometimes not. This is Zandar. He's a Dreadnought, obviously. So he's got the whole shtick with kind of biker theme going on that most of the Dreadnoughts have. Although I always thought that Zartan was a bit too clean as a Dreadnought, too streamlined, not dirty enough like the other one, not biker enough, not Mad Max enough. Both have red hair, although Zarana kind of paints hers pink. Apparently, this handkerchief here is part of Zarana's suit. It's not the exact same pink though. The grays on the pant are a bit lighter than the one from the original figure. This is gold, just like the old figure and so on. The blue is also more gray bluish than blue. He was more pure straight up blue in the past. Apparently, if you remove the armor, you'll see all of the tattoos that he's got on his chest, just like the old figure. Perhaps they'll come up with a retro version of Zandar with the classic colors and so on. In terms of look, he does look like the original, except Hasbro has decided to make him better looking than he ever was. And this is the pretty boy version of the Dreadnoughts, compared to Zartan, who's just ugly and looks like a worm. Zandar looks pretty good. Zartan also looks a bit older than his siblings. Zarana is not ugly at all. And you can almost see the family resemblance. That's why I don't want them to be twins. Siblings is enough. Now, what does he come with? Well, a backpack full of arrows and other gears that he needs. Dreadnought gear and so on. Sidearm here. He didn't have those chains in the past, but he does now. Dagger, knife here. Which was kind of stuck. So be careful when you remove it. Some kind of hand blade kind of weapon type of thing. Again, silent weapon that he can use anywhere. This scarf handkerchief thing, which hides the fact that he's got cuts in his neck here. You can see the cut. I don't know if you can see it. There's a cut in there in his neck. No extra hands and so on, but that's good enough. The articulation are smooth. I'm not sure exactly if he's using some of his brother's parts. They kind of look the same arms, but I can't tell. Is it the same chest, the same stomach? Could be, probably, but don't quote me on that. I don't know. Again, G.I. Joe Classified gave us a figure which is a much better improvement over the original. We never expected Zandar to be this cool. He's very cool. I think he sold out pretty quickly. By the way, it took me a while to review him, just because I guess I was reviewing DC Multiverse figures for a while. I've got a bunch of Joes I've never reviewed yet, still sitting on my desk. I'll review them eventually. Today, it's Zandar's turn. I don't like the long cut hair. The original one had shorter hair here. It kind of impedes the articulation for the head, although it moved just enough. The up and down is not as good. The ab crunch kind of work because the vest doesn't get in the way too much. There's a scope on his silent weapon, knife, everything you need with Zandar. A drawback of this figure, just like Zarana and Zartan, is that he doesn't change color. Well, there's one version of Zartan that does change color when you put him in the fridge, but not this one, nor Zarana, nor Zandar. I've got that Zartan somewhere. I've never really used him. He's still in his package, although I did open the package and I did try to put him in the fridge. He does change color, but yeah, he's my second Zartan. I wish they would have just made them change color in the first go. Perhaps that would have added to the cost of the figure, but that's a cool feature, and that's what they came with in the original figures. Now he's just a dreadnought, the silent weapon dreadnoughts, the camouflage, the sabotage dreadnoughts. Let's try to put him on a bike. This is a DC Multiverse Batman bike. I was reserving this bike for Road Pig, but I think Zandar and any other dreadnought can look good with this too. Although probably would have to arrange him better. He can't hit the brakes, the pedals here. He's too short for that, unfortunately. So let's try to put him on a different bike and see how it looks with that other bike. I've got another DC Multiverse bike. This is the Drifter's bike, and obviously a Gamerverse Captain America action figure. I'm going to review those bikes. I bought just enough for all my dreadnoughts, so I've never tried a dreadnoughts on one of those bikes. Zandar will be the first, and let's see how it looks with him on the bike. I've got enough bikes for most of my dreadnoughts, which is pretty cool. They were super cheap. I found them in one store. They were super cheap, so I bought several of them, enough for all of my dreadnoughts. So let's see, can Zandar ride this bike in style? He could. I would just have to put the handle in his hand. Unfortunately, he can't look up pretty well. He cannot. That's one of the main drawbacks. He doesn't look up enough to ride the bike properly. unfortunately. Perhaps if I remove the backpack and this piece here, perhaps he'll be able to move his head better. Yeah. Okay. That's much better. Kind of works. So he leans on one side more than the other. Perhaps a bit too much. Oops. Put it back there. What about on this side? I guess he could work on his bike. Well, thank God he's got a bike. First dreadnought on a bike. So that was Zandar on a bike. In terms of scale, let's look at how big, how tall Zandar is. He's obviously taller than Zorana, but she's a girl, so that's to be expected. So Zandar is a bit taller than Zartan. I didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be the opposite, because this Zartan is pretty tall, and Zorana obviously is the shorter one of the siblings. The articulation are a bit stiff, but nothing too bad. I think it's okay so far. Let's see how much was reused. Were the forearm reused? Nope, they're brand new. The hands weren't reused either. Just the chest maybe, the arms there. This, the torso might have been reused. And that's about it. Nothing else was reused, it seems. So this is Zandar with his siblings. And he's a popular character. He's a much better character, figure, than what we had way back. I remember mine as a kid had loose knees. Almost the moment I bought him, he had loose knees. This one's knees seem to be a bit sturdier. I can't wait to put him with the other dreadnoughts. He's been waiting on this desk for months for me to review him. He's finally going to join his other dreadnoughts friends and possibly use a bike also to do it with style. Or I'll just put him in a corner on a shelf where nobody can notice him, because that's what Zandar is about. This is Hervé from Comic Book Bin, fill you in since 2002. Like and subscribe.